Good morning and welcome to part 4 of suffering, our discussion on suffering. We have talked about what it is, and we have talked about why we have it. And in our last session, we talked about the fact that because we do have suffering, and Jesus said we would have suffering in this world, but that we can be courageous because he has overcome the world. But we started looking at the way that God takes our suffering and can make something new out of it. And the first way we talked about was that through our suffering, he draws us closer. He draws us back to him to make our relationship with him, our reliance on him stronger. And when we do that in one time of suffering, the next time we're better able to withstand it because we've seen what he can do. We've seen him carry us through. And we can use that as an anchor for our faith to look back on and know that he is with us in our suffering. Since we have been promised that we will have suffering, doesn't it make sense that we should cling to God and have that stronger relationship with him when we come out of it? So when we are suffering, and in the midst of our suffering, let's look to him and cling to him. But another way I want to talk today about another way that he makes something new in me is by changing me. God is a lot more concerned with my character than my comfort. I'm sorry, let me say that again. God is more concerned with my character than my comfort. I don't know, I like to be very comfortable. I don't know about you. Maybe you like to be comfortable too. But God is concerned with our character. James chapter 1, verse 2 through 4. Consider it a great joy, my brothers, whenever you experience various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith will bring about endurance. But endurance must do its complete work so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. So these verses, when I was a young Christian, you read this and consider it a great joy when I suffer, when I experience trials. That doesn't seem to always make a lot of sense, does it? Consider it great joy. But what is it that really we're supposed to consider a great joy? That joy that comes from the work that is being done in me to its completion. I may not find joy in the circumstance that I'm in, but I can find joy in the work that God is doing in me and that's being done in me to its completion. That my faith would be mature, complete, and lacking nothing. Wow. That is amazing that my faith can get to the point of lacking nothing. Maybe not on this side of eternity, but it will someday be complete in him. Having the endurance with the help and the guidance of the Holy Spirit to run this race that I'm called to run to its finish. That is what I should consider a great joy. God does not look at our suffering and just tell us, just get over it, just move on, it's all going to be okay. We think about in the New Testament whenever Jesus found out about Lazarus dying, and he went to be with Mary and Martha. Now, he waited a time. He waited for 3 days before he came. But when he got to them, what did he do? When he was with his friends, he wept. He wept for their loss. But you remember what he does right after that? He raises Lazarus from the dead. So his weeping, when he is weeping and he is feeling the pain with them, he is empathizing with them, even though he knows what he's fixing to do. He knows that there is such joy and celebration fixing to happen. But they're hurting and he hurts with them. There's so many times in the Gospels that it talks about Jesus showing compassion, feeling compassion for the people. And he's still doing that today. You know, in our very first session on this subject, I shared with you the fact that we had 2 miscarriages between our 2 daughters. And whenever I was I was pregnant with our youngest daughter. And the doctor wanted me to go have a sonogram because we were getting to that time before we would have suffered the miscarriage. So before that, obviously, I was praying, please, God, please let this baby be okay. Please let this child be with us. And I so distinctly remember getting into the car to go and thinking, you know, right now, God is already either rejoicing with me or grieving with me. Thankfully, he rejoiced with us because we have our second daughter. But if it had been the other way, he would have already been, he would have grieved with me. I know that because that is who he is. He cares about us. He sees us, he knows us, and he loves us. So through our suffering, one of the ways that he makes something new is by changing me, changing my faith and bringing it to completion, changing my heart to recognize that he loves me and that he draws me to him so that I can consider it a great joy whenever I experience trials, because I know that there's a work being done in me. So next time we will continue on. We've got a couple of more ways that God makes things new that are pretty exciting and that will help us whenever we are facing suffering. So I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next time.